Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first video in a series that I am so excited about. This went from a little idea to a fantastic outcome that I definitely want to figure out how to incorporate again into the future. So let me rewind a little bit. You've probably noticed over on my channel this year, I have had a handful of series as I wrap up the end of this pregnancy. And by the time you're watching this video, I am anticipating, this video is going up after my due date. So I'm anticipating that there is a baby in my arms, hopefully, when you're watching this video. But one of the ideas I had was trying to incorporate actual voices from the community members, people who are either a member of my Goals with Laken community, or some of these are just people who watch videos that, just like you, that hang out here on YouTube, and what works and doesn't work for them related to their goals and what their lives are like and how that impacts their goals and goals they've worked on, and just hearing them share their real actual lives and experiences, because I can share my real life and real experiences and my goals, and I can tell you things that I have experienced with working with other people, and I can give you all the tips and tricks and all the things, but there is something special about hearing it from somebody else. It is so cool. So what I was first trying to figure out was how I was going to organize these videos, because in January we did like goal specific videos, and we've done a lot of videos that way. And ultimately what I came up with was categorizing people by what their time constraints are, because time is typically our most valuable resource. Now, as you will see in some of these videos, energy is also a huge resource that a lot of us can struggle with at different times in our lives. But the way that I've broken these videos up is working from home, work outside of the home, stay-at-home parent, and retired. Now, there are obviously like little nuances and caveats, right? Some of the like work from home people may go in every once in a while, and some of the work outside of the home people may stay at home every once in a while. All the stay-at-home parents that I've chatted with have something else that they're also focusing on. Like, there's just so many other little nuances to it, but in general, those are how these videos are lining up. And that's gonna be the bulk. I just wanted to give a little intro, a little kickoff to what the series is going to be. And then the bulk of these videos is going to be my chats with these people. And y'all, they're just so great. I can't wait for you to see them. Like, I almost hate that the series is going up months later, because I feel like these chats are so helpful. So the first video, this first one, is our 4 work from home friends. Some, again, have more flexibility than others. One actually lives in Hawaii and works West Coast time. This video is a little bit on the longer side, I think, because these friends were working from home. We got a little bit chatty with some of these. The goals that we cover in this video are health, work-life balance, wedding planning, and working out. And some of the tips that they're going to reference in this video to keep an eye out for are trial and error, setting reminders, keeping your goals simple, knowing your why, and starting small. Let's get into it. All right. Hello. I'm so excited to have you here today. Let's jump right into it. You've been a member of the community for a long time, so I know a lot about your current life situation, but if you could take a second and just describe your current life setup, working, kids, etc. Anything else that you feel like would be helpful for everyone to know as we start to talk about your goals.
So I work from home full time.
Okay.
And I am actually I live in Hawaii, and I work East Coast hours. So
That's
I
so
mean, I
crazy.
range between like 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. But I get off, like 11 or noon. So it works very well for our family. And I have a freshman in college and a first grader, and that's it.
It's amazing. It's so amazing.
So it works because my first grader goes to sleep early. And so, we're all in bed early. So it really has worked out well. And it allowed us to move here at a time that we needed for our family.
That's so
So,
awesome.
yeah.
So,
And I'm married, obviously. I'm not obviously, but I am married. And yeah. And we have a dog.
okay. So that's another layer of complication to the life
Oh,
structure.
yes. Yeah.
So when you say you start work at 3 or 4, do you get up like right before and kind of just like roll straight into work, or do you need a minute to like wake up?
I mean, yes and no. I would like to say, oh, I wake up like 30 minutes before I get myself all ready, and but if I know I don't need to be on camera, like I always have like a check-in with my schedule the night before, so I know like how to prep. Like for today, like it's 5:30 in the morning,
Great.
and I got up at like 3:30 so I could like look decent. And you know what I mean? Like I had to be on video for a couple other meetings, so I
That
woke
worked
up a
out.
little bit earlier, right?
That makes
So
sense.
that's kind of how I manage my day. I never plan out like more than 1 or 2 days because it's impossible.
Yeah. You have to
Yeah.
figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
So, all right. I feel like I could keep asking questions about like, because it's just so unique. Like your setup is so unique. So when you get off of work at, like you said, like 11, you have a couple hours before your little one gets home from school, I'm
Yep.
assuming. Is that like household stuff? Is that like, what do you do with those couple hours?
Oh, so I mean, so here's the other complicated setup of my work. So I so I actually have teams like worldwide.
Okay.
And so like I might work at night too. So my work, my little 8-hour work day is sort of spread out throughout the day. So I do like take a break and I go for a walk.
Sure.
Like I've prioritized like going out early because it gets super hot here or humid for me. And so I try to get out like before 9 o'clock to go for like an hour walk.
Okay.
And then that means that maybe I'll get out at 11, but maybe I'll work until 1, or maybe I have to log in later that night. Like the benefit of my job is that I can spread out that 8 hours throughout the whole day. And I don't feel like I'm like working 12, 13 hours. I'm very controlled with how much I'm working or like if I can wait till the next day. But I have been in this job for almost 20 years.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah. So it is one of those things where like I'm very accustomed to how it works and who I need to talk to and how to keep things kind of in a box when I need it.
Okay. I guess it almost might work out better that you're in Hawaii. If you were like somewhere in the US, I mean, you might be working at midnight.
Right. It kind of does. Like
Right.
honestly, like when things happen, issues happen, they will call me and it's like 6 p.m. and I'm like, yeah, I got it. Like no
Right. I
big
can
deal.
handle it.
Yeah, it's totally reasonable timing.
That's hilarious. Wow. Okay, awesome. Let's pivot a little bit to goals. So I would love for you to share one goal that you have achieved. It can be recently or it could be a long time ago, but one goal that you feel like you are super proud of.
I would say more recently, so since I've gotten here, it's been a struggle. Like I thought like, oh wow, this is great. Like I can work from home, no big deal. But I recently, within like the last year, have realized that the working from home hasn't allowed me like it's different. It's different than going into an office where you get up, you're talking to people constantly, you're moving all the time. And I have steadily seen like as my age increases, like my energy levels had decreased or like I put some weight on, things like that, like just general health things that I kind of had to talk through with my therapist and all that, that it was just like I had to realize that the situation, while it's absolutely great for me and my family, like maybe it wasn't great in certain areas.
Sure,
So I
totally.
had to make like a lot of changes. And I tried multiple things. So I really tried to focus on like the health aspect. And it was just about me. It wasn't about my family or anything like that. I had to figure out like, what do I want to do with like, how do I eat? Because when I didn't have a plan, I was just constantly like snacking all day, which would have been fine if I was also getting up and talking to coworkers or going to meetings or, taking walks around our campus, things like that. It wasn't there anymore. So then I would just sit here and work and then I would go eat. So I had to like really kind of figure out why all of this was happening or why I was at a place where I maybe wasn't as happy with myself as I was before. So I really worked on that in the last 6 to 12 months. And I feel like I'm getting there, right? Like I've prioritized going out on early morning walks. And I prioritize maybe working out at night too, like doing more of like a strength training. All of that took time though for me to figure out like one motivation wise, like why do I need to go out? It's raining, maybe I don't want to do it. But like now I just go out whenever because raining is like 5 minutes here and then it's done.
Okay. Okay.
So, like that was all just barriers in my head to me not wanting to do something. But ultimately, when I prioritized myself, then I was like, no, no, this is really good for you. And so I started to feel better. And then the other thing was like food, like making meal plans and stuff. Like it's like, very peer pressury without people telling you. Like you see all these cool meal plan, like journals, and you see people, on TikTok and Instagram making all these meal preps. Like it's just like your own self peer pressure, right?
Yep.
And so I used to be like, oh my God, I gotta do it. I gotta do it all. And I used to make meal plans. Like I'd be like, okay, this is what we're having for dinner. We have family meetings on Sunday, and we all decide what we're having for dinner. And then like one day I don't feel like cooking, and it just all goes, by the wayside.
Yep.
And I realized like, okay, let's try something different. Like let's just come up with some meals that we could pick from, and then whatever someone wants to, like, oh, I want this today, then that's what we'll make. So I have been like trying to change over time how we do things without like the influence of the internet.
Which is tough because it's a balance.
Yes.
You want the inspiration aspect of it,
Yeah.
right? There's all these cool meal ideas and there's all the like you want that aspect, but you also want to not have the intimidation factor of like, well, I have to
Yeah.
be doing it this way.
Or like, well, that's not working for me. Like, I must
It
be
just
a loser. I'm not a loser. You know what I mean? Like, you're not bad because it didn't work for you. And I remember like too, I see this, I saw this influencer and she makes all these meals, preps, and I was like, oh, they seem so simple. They're like five items. And so I would make it and I wouldn't eat it because I didn't like it. And I
right.
was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? So so I found like little things, like small chunks. So I broke it down into like, I would say cottage cheese is all the rage right now. It's like the kale of 20, this is what
That's a
kale
great way
was,
to describe it. It's the kale
right?
of right, 2015 or whenever that
Yeah.
phase
And
was.
so like I was like, all right, well, I understand the benefit of it. So I see it, but I can't like eat that stuff. So I was like, all right, let me put it in eggs. Like that seems reasonable. Okay. And so we've been doing that. And I was like, so I found, I guess what I'm trying to say is through trial and error, I'm at a point where I found little things that work for me and make me feel good. Like it may not have like the drastic um successes. Like I can't sit here and be like, oh my God, it made me lose 50 pounds and I feel 100% better. You know what I mean? Like I can't say all of that, but I do feel like I'm moving in an upward trajectory instead of staying stagnant or even getting worse.
Yeah.
That makes
And
sense. So that's what I'm most proud of is like getting from January to here, like maybe not improving number wise, but mentally I feel much better.
that's amazing. Like exactly what you said earlier too, you were referencing like as you're getting older, you're only going to be able to offset so much, right? Like you're not going to probably feel 100% better because even once you implement all these changes, then these other changes are also
Yes.
happening at the same time. So you can only combat it so much. It reminds me when I went to PT when I was pregnant with my first, he was
Yeah.
like, "Look, we can do stuff, but as we go through PT every week, you're going to just get bigger." And so I'm actually not promising that your pain's going to go away because you're going to get bigger, but we're going to help not hopefully make it worse. Right?
Yeah. Right. Like that's how I feel. Like you're kind of combating different things,
Yeah.
and so I'm not gonna be 100% where I'm like, yeah, this is so great.
I feel my
But
best
mentally I
ever.
feel better. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel like you answered this question a little bit when you were sharing that, but if there's anything else that you have figured out that works for you related, it could be related to this goal, it could be related to any goals, but any habits or mindsets or specific goal tools that work for you in this stage of life.
I mean, a lot of it's like I'm part of your community, right? So I've there's a lot of things like maybe like 5 years ago, I was like, oh, I don't need that. But right now it's really working.
Yeah.
Like crossing stuff off or just putting stuff off. So like when I was looking at this year as a whole, like I can't even believe like the amount of stuff that has happened. But we had my oldest graduate from high school. And that whole from January to May was just full of like, like senior
Yeah.
dinners and
Stuff.
senior luau's and like senior nights for all the sports she was in. Like, and then it culminated with graduation and then all her graduation parties that
Parties.
she had to go to. And it was just nonstop until she left and she's situated in college, which emotionally was absolutely like wrecked me. But like mentally, I was like, okay, like, so that whole weight of like carrying someone through high school, that's gone now. So I have like a first grader who doesn't need that much help as much as my high schooler did. And, we're not schlepping her around to all these sports and things like that. So, like, the transition has helped, but also like keeping that in mind when I was doing the goals. Like, there were months that I had full intentions of, like, yes, let me do this, X, Y, and Z. But I did nothing. And while I give myself some grace, I always try to be like, but at least do maybe 50% of this because that was your plan. But I realistically set my standards very low during this very busy season. And then now I can feel that it's ramped up. Like I'm reading more books. I'm, doing more arts and crafts, like working on things that all this whole first half of the month, I kind of let go mentally. I can see the difference. So just understanding where you're at in life, I think has helped, as well as like just try like the trial and error that I was talking about. Like I tried it. I tried making like pasta and all that to eat for lunch. It didn't work. So I scaled it back and I just started meal prepping breakfast, and that's worked amazing. So eventually you just find your way, but I couldn't do it all at once.
Yeah.
And when I tried, I did fail. And I was just like, all right, this didn't work.
Yeah. And that
Like I
happens,
was like, okay, well, then move on.
Yeah.
What's next?
But you make such a great point, right? Remembering that it's a phase of life that you're in and it's going to end and then things can look different and it can be hard to accept sometimes that you're like I want to do it all. I want to make all the
Yeah.
changes, but I can't right now, but it's temporary and it's not forever.
I also think too, like there's been an element of my life where I'm like, I want to go out and I want to like go to the beach or I want to go walk on the beach. And for some reason, there's parts of me that wants everyone in my family to go with me. And then other times where I'm like, why is that? Like, what is making me it, and I realized it was just another excuse for me not to go. Right. And so I have found like me trying to like figure out like, okay, maybe if I have three workouts planned, like two of them, my family can go on hikes with me, but then one, I'm just gonna go to the beach with my dog or whatever. So like making it work, but like really kind of looking at it like, why is it not working?
Yeah.
And it wasn't working because my family didn't want to go, and that's not their fault.
Right.
I was putting a lot of pressure on them to come with me because I wanted the company and it's funner and my kids love it. And but they didn't want to go at that time. They were tired or they don't need to go.
Right.
And so I would say, well, then I'm not going to work out either. And
Mhm.
so I was putting a lot of my goals on someone else.
Yep.
And so I've kind of like all of that to say, like, I've kind of done a lot of trial and error this year. And there's some things that I'm going to carry forward, and then other things that I just kind of let go.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
that's it can be you can sometimes feel like you wasted that time, right? Like with that trial and error, but you did it. You learned a lot. And like you
Yeah.
said, some things you learned that you want to carry them forward and it's going to help you next year. Then some things you learned it's not going to work and you're not going to carry it forward.
Yeah. And I think too, I can't remember who I learned this from, but I started to like unfollow people who may not it wasn't their intention, but
Sure.
who I looked at and then I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to be like that. Like there are, so I started to like be like realistically, like this isn't helping me right now.
Yep.
And so I started to like maybe unfollow them or unsubscribe to the marketing emails I get. So like I kind of I don't know how do you call it, but like I closed everything in to really only focus on the things that I knew helped me at right now.
Yeah. And like you said, they're not intentionally trying to make
Well,
you feel bad. And you're not a bad person for feeling that way when you see their stuff. It's just the nature of like humanity and seeing
yeah,
people's lives. And so if it's not working for you, yeah, unfollow, mute, unsubscribe. You can always come back
yeah,
if or when it makes sense at some point. But sometimes we're meant to follow people for a season and then that's it. And that's okay.
yeah. And I think you said that in the last meeting too, or I forget which one, but you said that you had unfollowed somebody and
Yeah.
then like an author and then
Yeah.
refollowed them. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm not the only one.
No. Oh yeah. I recently just read her book and I did really enjoy her book, but there have been seasons where I've had to unfollow her on social media because I'm like, that's not my life right now. And I can't be like comparing myself to somebody who has four times as many kids. Like she had four kids and I had one, and yet she was still managing to make all these meals. And I was like, I can't compare myself to that. And then but the other thing is you never know what's going on behind the scenes, right? And so when I read her book, I learned her husband also works for her business. And so I was like, oh, that makes sense. So he's
Yeah,
also back there helping with all these things, right? And so that explains, and I don't think she was trying to like hide that by any means, but she just, you didn't know. And so then when
yeah.
I finally learned that, I was like, oh, that's why her life is different than mine. And that's
And a
okay.
lot of that, a lot of that realization too, I do think comes with age
Yeah.
and not age, but more experience, I
Yeah.
guess. Right. And what you're willing to let in versus like when I was younger, when I was like
Yeah.
in my 20s, like I was like, bring it all, like give
Yeah.
me it all. And now I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And that's, I mean, it's one of the pros of all that experience and all that
Yeah.
growth is that you're like, I don't need that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you kind of already also answered the question about figuring out what doesn't work for you. You're just like answering them as you go, which is awesome. So I'm going to ask you the last question. As a community member, is there anything that you feel like specifically within the community helps you achieve your goals?
Honestly, I kind of thought about this because I have been doing this for like a couple years. And I would say the community helps the schedule too, the schedule. So every month we have like check-ins, and I don't make all the check-ins, but I do prioritize making like the goals.
Yep. Goal
Um,
call. Yeah. Which is what I
yeah, the
tell people.
goal
Like, if you
call.
can only do one a month, it's that one. Like, check in
Yeah.
with your goals.
And that in itself has really helped me like do my goals every month. And again, 5 years ago, Rox was like, I don't understand why people make goals. This is so stupid. Like just live your life.
Right.
Okay. But now I'm like, oh, it's not like a bad thing. So there's been like a lot of like growth in my world too. About like what I need when I need like I mean 5 years ago Rox was like I can't believe people do AM routines and PM routines, like what a waste of time, just get up and go do your stuff, like what is all this garbage, right? I literally remember like watching people's like YouTubes and I'm like I don't get it.
Yeah.
And maybe this was 10 years ago, Rox, not 5, but now like I find the value in the routine of it and like making sure that I do prioritize what I want to do instead of just walking around aimlessly like what am I going to do next.
Yeah.
So all to say, like the community has helped me get here and really helped me prioritize, if not just hold myself accountable to make sure I have goals written down, even if it's like two goals, even if I'm like, oh, I just wanted to focus on this month. Like I think in May when my daughter graduated, my only goal was to get to graduation, make all the lays, try to figure out all of her like last minute stuff, get all of her things done, like
Yeah.
make sure we signed up for everything. Like it was literally about her, and then everything else kind of just worked. Like somehow my dog got fed, somehow we all ate dinner, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I didn't have a plan and nothing broke.
No.
So, but I had to focus all of my like not working, not being a mom energy on making sure everything else got done. My family flew in, like there was so much going on. But I can look back and be like, oh yeah, I accomplished like check, check, check. I got all that stuff done. And now I can focus on what are we having for dinner, which again, it didn't break when I wasn't focusing on it. But I like to make sure I know mentally like what we're doing and how we're prioritizing, like maybe like for a while I wasn't eating red meat, and we don't really have a lot of red meat in our like meal plan, but that was one of the things that I was like, hey, I don't want to eat red meat, and my husband's like, well, that means we're eating chicken because I don't eat fish either. And I was
But
like,
there's only
oh
one choice
no.
now.
Yeah, I was like, I guess so. But like
Yeah.
that prioritization sort of helps me stay grounded every month and every year. I'm really looking forward to the yearly goals because I really just want to focus on my health. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what can I do? Like, how am I gonna work this out? And so those are the things like I think that help because you do get some guidance in your calls. And other ideas, and people are working on things, and it's really helpful in that way where you have a community that kind of does the same thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like you're not you're not all in it with different intentions.
Yeah.
So that's helped a lot, I
Awesome.
think.
Well, thank you
I
for
feel like that's
sharing.
helped me grow up.
Well, I mean, that's part of life, right? I feel like we're always growing up, and sometimes it's okay to be a kid too. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Otherwise, I feel like you have done an amazing job of sharing so many insights to like your life and your goals. And I feel like there's so many little great nuggets in here.
Um, I would say that as a mom of like an older kid and a younger kid, like I do feel sometimes like like I fail in certain things, but then I see like, oh, but look at my oldest. She's really thriving in college. So I must have done something right, right? So I feel like you're gonna like in life or like as moms or even business people or
Yeah.
whatever, you're gonna go through those ebbs and flows of like, am I doing enough? Like, am I enough? And maybe you're not enough right there, but like in 3 months, you're gonna look back and be like, oh my gosh, great. So like weathering the storm of life has really taught me to that's what's taught me grace. It's more like in 3 months, am I gonna look back and regret what I did? And like that's kind of how I make the decisions I make. And so if there was any nuggets, I would say like just, look at your life like, is this decision going to be something I regret in 5 years? And sometimes I'm like, oh, I probably could have handled that better. But there are some decisions where I'm like, no, I'm good. I made that decision. I was solid. I'm good. And I don't have no regrets, right? So just, like going through life in your low parts, knowing it's gonna get better, hopefully. And eventually you can look back and be like, all right, what did I learn from that?
That's
Because
awesome.
you'll be in a better place, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll be in a different place, not a better place, a different
Yeah.
place.
Sometimes better, sometimes harder, sometimes whatever,
Yeah,
but different. And you put
different. It's
back.
going to
Yeah.
be different. So, but that's all. Like, I mean,
I love it.
the community's been great. And yeah, like I said, like 10 years ago, Rocks wouldn't have done this. But like, I need this. I always say that because it's so true. Like, when I was looking back, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so terrible, like how I thought. But that's because of the life I was in. Like, I only had one kid, I wasn't married. It
Yeah.
was just a different
Different.
world back then.
Yeah. It is we all I mean that's and sometimes that's one of the things I feel like the community also has such a wide range of which is kind of why I'm doing these videos. A like wide range of like moms not moms, like age,
Yeah.
from here to here and kids no kid or I already said that, but like, you know what I mean? Working from home, not
Yeah.
working from home. Because sometimes we're ready for that support and help in our 20s, and sometimes we're not ready for that support and help until we're in our 60s. And like,
Right.
then there's everybody in between. So I feel like there's just a lot of variety there. And I feel like that's why I hope these are helpful for
I also
those in
think
between.
too, like seeing people in different stages makes me like feel makes me think back like when like how you're pregnant right now, like I'm like Oh, that was such a fun time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really makes me like appreciate
Yeah.
like I went through that like 6 years ago for the last time.
Right.
And it's just like such a whirlwind, but I can like see myself in other people and be like, oh yeah, I remember going through that. Like
Yeah.
not, having to look for a job or not loving your job.
Yeah.
And it's just helpful to, especially me working from home. I don't have that much communication with the outside world.
Right.
It's helpful to see people and hear their stories
Yeah.
because it's really helpful because I can see myself in them. I can see like, oh, that's such a good idea. I can see other people who I'm like, yep, I definitely want to do that
Yeah.
because that feels good.
Yeah.
And they seem to be very successful with it. So let me just give it a shot. Like it's just a variety of people who are goal oriented as well.
Yeah. That's so true.
So I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you again for
Yeah.
taking the time to share all of these things. All right. Hello. Hi. Thank you for doing
Hi.
this. I'm so excited to chat, even though I know you're kind of in between seasons right now,
Yes.
but I appreciate you taking the time. So let's just start with like introducing yourself, your current like stage of life, working, kids situation, what part of the country you're in, and anything else that you feel like would be helpful for us to know as we talk about your goals.
Okay. So my name is Monica Romano, and on socials, I am Romo Plants, if you would like to check that out.
Yes.
But I am in between jobs right now. So I left my previous job in September of this year, and I am currently looking for a job. My previous job, I had been there for 13 years, and I have been working from home since March of 2020 when we went home for 2 weeks and we
Ever went back?
didn't go back. So, and then before that, I was working in an office and on an open floor. So I have been working from home a long time. And the transition from working in the office to working from home was a very big transition and it was a very hard transition. And so I definitely had to work around some things with my goals because there are pros and cons to working in the office and working at home that I kind of had to navigate. I am married and I have a 7-year-old daughter. She's in second grade and yeah, she is a ball of energy and very much into telling me what I need to do with my life.
Well, just let her pick all of your goals for next.
Right. So, yeah, she likes to shame me for not completing my reading challenges as fast as she thinks that I need to.
Okay, okay, so like interrupt for a second. How many books have you read this year?
Okay, so I set a goal for 75 books, and I think I just read my 122nd book. Okay. But I have all these like side challenges because they're fun to me. Like, I'm not like, oh, I need to complete
Oh, it's
them. They're
great. It's
just
just like
fun.
so many books.
So she's like, Mommy, you have not read an ebook. What ebook do you have on your shelf? And so the only ebook I have is Empire of Storms. And I know, like, I've been trying to finish the Throne of Glass series for so long, but I'm like, do I tandem read? Do I not tandem read? I'm like, oh, it's just a commitment. And I know, like, I've actually avoided spoilers for
That's good.
everything pretty much, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so she has like a couple of challenges. So every time the month turns over, she's like, "Where's your reading planner?" And so she grabs my reading journal and she,
Wow.
she picks out a book on my shelf to match some challenges. So I'm like, she's like, "You need to do better." And I was like, "Girl, I was like, I have read, I'm like 160% to my goal."
Yeah, right. I've read a lot of books. I just like you don't need any other accountability. You just have her. She is just like,
I'm like, whatever. So yeah, she's
all
definitely
right,
in the age where she likes to explain things to me, and I'm like, okay,
okay. That's so cute. Okay, and then
you'll get there.
well, yeah, I know. My little she's already getting there, I feel like, and she's 2, and I can't even imagine when she's 7.
And a friend of mine was saying, because Amy was like, girl, how are you reading so much? I said, I did not, when I set my reading goal at 75, I did not anticipate the amount of disassociation that I was going to have to make from the chaos that is the world.
Yep. That's fair. That's totally fair. And we all need our different forms of that this year, especially. And if reading is that, like, you couldn't have
But I
predicted.
also like, I don't watch TV
Yeah,
and
which
I worked from home. So I have a job that it's very easy for me. It was very easy for me to listen to books while I
you're
worked.
doing stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
So that made a big difference. And I just don't watch TV.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like if I watch TV, it's like Buffy the Vampire Slayer for nostalgia, just to have like some background. It's like you with Gilmore Girls. It's to have the background noise, but you don't have to pay attention to the background noise because you can quote the
I
episode.
could say it for you. And well, and I right now, like I listen to Gilmore Girls to fall asleep and so I'm not looking at it. Like I
Right.
put it in my ears and then I just fall asleep. But I can picture exactly what's happening because I've watched it so many times.
Yeah.
I can visualize
So
it. One final question. So you are currently looking for a job. Are you for sure you want to stay working from home? Are you flexible? What are you looking for?
I kind of go back and forth. I'm good with either.
Okay.
There is, you know, working from home, there is the loneliness aspect of
Sure.
it, and I'm very ambivert. I'm very like in the middle.
Yep.
But there are parts of working from in the office that I do miss, but I am looking for both and I am open to both. Obviously, working from home gives me that flexibility that I have grown to love. But I am open to either. So.
Cool. All right, let's pivot to goals. So, what is one goal that you can share with us? And maybe it's your reading goal, or maybe it's something else that you have achieved in the past. It could be recently, it could be a couple years ago that you are proud of.
So, as I mentioned, the transition from working in the office to working at home was very hard for me. Plus, everything that was going on in 2020 did not help anything. So, that first year, I basically had no work-life balance. So, in 2021, one of my main goals was to create a work-life balance that worked for me, because I am a workaholic and I am very zoned. When I work on something, I get laser focused. So there would be a lot of days that it would be like 2 o'clock and I'm like, I haven't eaten lunch yet. And we had a lot of transitions at work and restructuring, like a lot of companies did. And so I was working a lot of hours. I was working overtime. I was salary, so I was not getting paid for this time that I was putting in. And so in 2021, I really got to the point where I was like, I need to do something and create that balance because this isn't going to work. Like I was very much close to burnout, complete burnout from that, because I worked all the time and
Yep.
it was affecting not only my mental health, but it was affecting time with my family and different things like that. So I set a goal to work on my work-life balance. And I feel like, and it kind of ebbed and flowed because work ebbs and flows. Like we had really busy times, we had not so busy times. But once, like after like 2021, I was like, nope, I'm not working late anytime. Like if it can't get done, and my boss was very, like, she was great, best boss I've ever had. She's like, look, if it can't get done, it can't get done. You know, you, you know, it is what it is. Like we will make it work. And so it was more of me putting my own pressures on myself. It wasn't as much like my boss putting pressures on me. It was more of just internal pressure that I was putting on me because I am an Enneagram 3, so I don't like to fail. I want the
Yeah, that's success, that
um
phrase. I feel you.
yeah. So I worked through a lot of things, and one of there's a couple of things that really helped. Number one was t doing reminders.
Okay.
And so I actually did a reminder, and I actually got this idea from a community call where from 12 to 1, I had a meeting on my calendar that just said lunch, and it's busy. Like you're busy. And sometimes I would take like lunch at right at 12, but sometimes it'd be like, okay, it'd be like 12:30. But what that did was number one, that blocked the time off. So I was scheduled for less meetings during 12 to 1 because it was blocked off on my calendar. I won't say wasn't scheduled for any meetings because some people don't care.
You're like, you're not actually busy.
And
I'm scheduling a meeting.
yeah, and when you have like a group of 15 people, I was very low on the totem pole. A lot of times we're like, oh, well, if she can't make it, then she can't make it. So, but that really helped with just putting reminders in my Outlook calendar and blocking off time in my Outlook calendar. Also, with my personal goals, because I worked from home, I was able to do stuff but then I would forget. So it was a lot of reminders and then also breaking things down into like 5 minute increments. So taking like this task of, hey, I want to do laundry today. Well, that's a very easy task to break it down. So like, okay, well, at this point, like I want to gather the clothes. Like sometimes it was just like, I just want to gather the clothes and put them in the laundry. I don't
Sometimes
even
that's a
like
big step.
what I'm doing at this point isn't even putting them in the laundry, like in the washing machine. I just want to put them in the room and then, set a timer for like an hour later, then go put them in there.
Right.
And sometimes that's just how it had to work to break it down to that. But then also, I'm not a morning person, but I have a daughter that has to get to school on time. And so that kind of made me a morning person. So I would habit stack in the mornings with my morning routine. I would, kind of do that. And then also, I also used the app Routinery, and that really helped because it was habit stacking. And then it also like moved me into that where it kept me on track to get stuff done before I even started my day. But yeah, breaking things down was things that helped really well. So like even if I am decluttering a room, I'll actually list out everything like my drawer, like top drawer, bottom, second drawer, third drawer, fourth drawer, because I want the check marks, number one. But also, if I only have 5 minutes, then and I can only get through two drawers, then that's still progress. Instead of having like, hey, I want to get through my Alex drawers, I'll bring it down to the actual drawers because I want to see that progress because I am like that inspires me and that motivates me to actually see that and go, okay.
I love it. Well, you kind of already also answered the next question, which is what works. You just like went right into those. Was there anything that you have
Yeah.
discovered related to your goals that it can be the work-life balance goal, it can be any goal that doesn't work for you? Habits, mindsets, tools, etc.
It's kind of the opposite where making things a lot bigger
Yeah.
and having these like big expectations because I'm also like, yeah, let's do this. Let's gung ho, like do this. And some goals I'm really good with, like finance goals. I am gung ho, like, hey, I want to pay $10,000 on debt. Okay, let's do this. Like, let's make the plan and super excited about it. And then there's other goals like my health goals that I'm like, yeah, well, So it's kind of just kind of breaking, I would make it too big and I would have to break it down because I'm like, okay, well, if I make it too big and then I don't do it to that level, then I get to that point of being like, okay, well, what did I do? Like, did I actually achieve that? Did I make progress on it? So I try to keep my goals a lot simpler these days. Like, I've learned that daily step goals don't work for me. They just don't because every day is different. And some days, like especially if I'm working out that day, my steps are a lot higher. If I'm not, if I'm kind of at home and I'm not really like I'm not in a walkable city. So,
Even in a walkable city, if I
it's
don't leave the house, my step number is not high.
so I have moved to weekly step goals, which is an idea that I got from you. And that really works because I'm like, okay, I want on average, this is how much I would like to do on average. And then I multiply that by 7, and then I just round up because I want a nice even number. And that really works for me. So I've learned that there's different like tweaks. And just because someone else is doing something doesn't mean that that's going to work for you because we're all different. And you can take two people, and I know that you probably are seeing this in this series. You can take two people like, okay, they both have like a child in elementary school. They both work from home. They're both married, and they're completely different. And and they both have a health goal or whatever, and still they're still two different people. So I think just remembering that what works for one person may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for one person. And that doesn't mean that what I'm doing is wrong or what they're doing is wrong. You just have to find what works for you. A lot of it's trial and error.
Yep. That's such a great reminder. I also like what you said. I want to go back to talking about keeping it simple because I feel like people get very caught up and like goals need to be these either huge or complicated or detailed things. And like sometimes they are, sometimes you do have a big, complicated, detailed goal. But a lot of times, a lot of our goals that actually are going to impact our day to day life is going to be small. It's going to be simple. It's going to be not, schmancy, fancy kind of goal. And that's okay. Like it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
this big fancy thing. So I appreciate you saying that. Okay, last question. As a member of the community, how do you utilize the community or what aspects do you feel like really help you achieve your goals?
The accountability aspect is really big. I knew some people before we were in the community together, and then I've met people in the community, and then through like the meetups and just online and everything, just connecting to people that kind of have the same goals and the same interests. So that's been very helpful. And then also just the community calls and kind of talking about like, hey, I have this and I'm struggling with this, and this is and people saying this is what's been helping me. That's been very helpful. And then just the monthly goal setting calls and the way that
So
you
that's what everybody's
structure
been
them
saying.
has been, I know, has been, it's just, it works in my brain and of how to structure them. And so just having that time of, I try to get to all the weekly calls, but there's some weeks that I don't do
Yeah,
the weekly call.
happens.
But just having that reminder, and even if it's just me and I'm just doing the call, and sometimes I'm like, okay, well, you're going to give me 5 minutes, and I did this in like 2 minutes. So let's just fast forward that. So sometimes it's nice because, depending on the week, but just having that accountability, even if it's just the call, like the pre-recorded call, is good to kind of do that.
Yeah.
But,
Well, and some people need more time and some people need less time. I feel like, you know,
yeah.
the times that I give you to work on each section, it's like some people, it's personality dependent. And then it's also how long you've been setting goals, right? You've been here for a while. You've been setting goals for a
Mhm.
while. So like, do you need the full 5 minutes? Probably not. Most months, you probably don't. But somebody who's brand new is probably like, if I didn't have that 5 minute timer, they would just keep going and they would like feel like they
Mhm.
have to exhaust the ideas and the space on the paper.
Yeah, I do like the timers, especially in the goal setting, like the yearly calls is very needed because I'm an overthinker. And that's another toxic trait that I have is I am a classic overthinker. And so I will overthink and overanalyze, and having that time limit of, you know what, this is how much time you have to think about this question. And so it really makes you drill down and go, okay, what's the actual answer to the question?
Yeah, awesome. Well, any other
But yeah,
last minute goal setting tips, things you want to share before we say bye?
I don't think so. You
That's
can
the
do
answer can
that.
be no. Yeah, you're good. No, you're good. I feel like this has been
Yeah.
super helpful and all the little things that you shared, especially because I think a lot of people were in that same situation where they didn't work from home and all of a sudden they were like, now you're working from home and you're never going back. And that is, I feel like a really common situation that a lot of people are in. So I appreciate you sharing.
And it's very different. I mean, there are pros and cons to
Yeah.
both. Like you don't have other people interrupting you as much, but it's also, I feel like it's much easier, depending on your personality, it's much easier to be more distracted by other things, and or to be so hyper focused where you're only focused on work and everything. So it's finding the balance is the big thing there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you. All right. Hello. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. Let's start with just like a quick intro, get to know you, your current stage of life, your working situation, and anything else that you feel like would be helpful for us to know as we talk about your goals.
Sounds good. Well, I am a newlywed
Yay.
and
Like newly
um
newlywed.
yes. Yes, almost 2 months.
So exciting.
So yeah. And I actually moved out of my parents' house into this apartment with my husband. So freshly, well, kind of freshly launched. And yeah, I mostly work from home. Both my husband and I work from home.
Okay.
And what were the other parts of the question?
That's basically it. So when you say mostly, do you go into the office some days? Is it sporadic?
I'm in like once a week or
Okay.
once every other week.
Okay.
So it's regular, but not often.
Right. Not like true. I feel like some people are true hybrid where they're like in the office 2 to 3 days a week every single week. And
Yeah.
yours is not as often.
No,
Yeah.
no. Part of it is I used to be like 2 to 3 days in the office, and then I moved further from the office, and fortunately there's no kind of mandate, and so I just told my boss I'm in less now.
Oh, wow. That's
And
awesome.
he was like, I am too.
Well, that worked. That worked out.
Yeah.
That's really great.
So
So then I take it you like working from home.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very nice. We both get up and, well, he puts on his work pajamas and I don't know. I just wear the same clothes all day.
I think that's fine. I feel like, do you find yourself on a lot of like Zoom calls that you have to feel like you're on for?
No, that's the other part. My work is largely project based.
Okay.
And I don't have a lot of meetings, and I work with engineers. They don't like to be on camera. So yeah, so I have a pretty flexible schedule.
So then in terms of hours, is it around the same times every day? Do you get to pick and choose?
I mostly work like 8 to 5, 8 to 4. Sometimes it varies. I do ride horses, and to accommodate, well, because my schedule is flexible, I'm able to ride in the mornings. And
Oh,
so
that's so
sometimes
nice.
I ride like 9 to 11:30 or something like that.
Okay. That's so cool. I mean, I knew you rode horses, but like the fact that you get to just like go, it's probably much nicer in the morning than waiting until
Yeah. And
afternoon.
the trainers like it too, because then they can shift all of their children and their office adults in the evening, and then so mornings are a little bit more chill and there's more flexibility.
That's so nice. All
Yeah.
right, well, let's pivot and chat a little bit about goals. So, I would love for you to share one goal. It can be recently or it can be long term that you have achieved in the past that you are proud of.
Well, I mean, I guess a big one, I didn't write this down, but I guess a big one is I planned a wedding.
Great. That's a
Um,
huge goal.
yeah. And that was, I mean, pretty much between, I actually didn't really put it on my goals sheet at all, mostly because it has a hard deadline and I do really well with hard
Okay.
deadlines. I did, I feel like I took a lot of the tools that we talk about and, breaking it down and like, okay, what needs to be done this month or this week, or, just making that the, the task. And I enjoy planners and planning things. So it was quite enjoyable. And I was fortunate, neither my mother or my now mother-in-law, nobody had really strong opinions. It was all like, what you want to do, we'll help you with, which was a very big help.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and I felt very fortunate to have that. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it just was because of things that I've learned and from being in the community and having that mindset for my other goals, or if it's just because I like planning parties that it it didn't feel it didn't actually feel that stressful, which I was kind of surprised by.
That's amazing. And it's probably a
So
combination of things, right? It's
yeah.
probably a combination of the experience you've had with other goals, enjoying the process, and then also the external factors of not having the stress put on you from, family members or et cetera that want to be involved. Because I know a lot of people
Mhm.
planning weddings do deal with that.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that you said you didn't put it on your goal sheet though. So did you like track it and all those things in a different place?
I kept track of the tasks like in a spreadsheet. And then I
Okay.
think sometimes, so the interesting thing was I didn't actually have to set a goal. Well, I guess I did kind of set a goal. It was a pretty broad goal
Okay.
of preparing our relationship for marriage. That was my annual goal for 2025 because, well, actually, when I set when I set goals in December, we weren't engaged
You weren't
yet.
even engaged. I know. I feel like
And so,
I remember talking about that. You were like, I think it might be coming soon. And so what do I do about my goals? So
yeah. And so I set that goal because we weren't engaged yet. And then we got engaged like 2 days before the new year. So it was kind of a goal.
yeah.
And then it was like a larger goal of just making sure that our relationship was in, good stand, good, I don't know what the word would be.
Yeah. But I mean, it's
Making
planning
sure
a
that our
wedding.
relationship was like on the right path and, that we were preparing ourselves well for not just the wedding day, but, the marriage afterwards, and then wedding planning just kind of got absorbed into that.
Okay.
And so there were tasks that made it onto my like one-time steps
Okay.
trackers. It was like, okay, you know, I have to order the invitations. I have to, we have to address them and send them out, or like I have to finish, the table groupings or whatever. Like those tasks made it on the list.
Okay.
But it like I guess plan the wedding was not really a goal, and it wasn't on my goals tracker every month.
Okay. But probably something was happening behind the scenes every month because you also planned
Yeah.
a wedding in a much shorter time frame than I did, which is also incredibly impressive to me.
Yeah. I felt like it was kind of the perfect amount of time because there was never like a lull
Right.
in planning where it's like there's nothing like what am I supposed to do right now? But it wasn't like, okay, I have to do 5 things this month and they're all equally important. And, I guess there was some of that in the beginning of
The
like,
very
okay,
beginning.
we have to book the venue and get the things set so that because, our wedding's in less than a year,
Right.
like got to jump on the dress train and do all of that, make those appointments. We talked about engagement for a long time, so I did do research before. And so by the time we got engaged, it was like, okay, I kind of know what the venue is, or like, I know who I also have some friends who work in the wedding industry, and so it was like I knew who I wanted for my photographer. I knew who I wanted to do the cake, and so it was like, and they're friends, so it was
Easier.
not that hard to be like, can you put us on your calendar?
Right. Okay. That makes sense. I totally feel that. I actually tried to get Sam to let me look at venues before we got engaged and he told me no. So I
I
can.
don't think I asked permission. I think I just did it.
That's amazing. That's even better. What's funny is we had been talking about engagement and we were going to be in Texas for a different wedding. And I was like, can we go look at venues when we're there for this wedding? And he said, we weren't engaged at the time when I asked. And he was like, no, that's so silly. We're not even engaged. And then he proposed in that window, like in between
Oh,
me asking. And I was so mad that I didn't like book venue tours.
oh.
It all worked
I
out
guess
and
I
whatever.
did my research for venues. We didn't do any actual tours. I
Yeah.
just looked online.
Yeah.
But I kind of knew what I wanted. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you kind of answered this a little bit, but are there any habits, mindsets, tools, things that you have figured out that works for you related to your goals just in general?
A big one for me has been like my why.
Okay.
Why am I doing this? That is a big driving factor. And it's like, why is this important to me? Why do I want to do this? And that really keeps me focused on like following through, remembering why it's important and why I set this and, why I said this was important to me.
Yeah. Good one.
That's been a big one. Coming out of that all or nothing mindset has been a big shift. My husband has a really big all or nothing mindset. I'm working on him.
We can only do so much for the people in our lives that also.
Yes. But just that, like I don't have to wait for the new year or the new month or the new week. It's like sometimes I wait for the new week.
It's okay.
But just, yeah, it could start today or it could start tomorrow. And if I miss a day, you don't have to like forsake the rest of the week too. It's like, well, I don't want to do it this today or this week, but I could do it next week.
On the flip side, anything that you have discovered that you feel like doesn't work for you, mindsets, habits, tools, etc.
Pretty much the opposite of that, like setting goals that don't have a why or forgetting to kind of ask myself that question when I'm setting, especially like weekly and daily steps. It's like, why do I want to do this every day? Why do I want to do this every week?
That's a good reminder. And I feel like not a lot of people think about that because we talk about the why at the beginning when we're picking the goal at the very beginning, but then we can kind of lose sight of it as we're working on it.
Mm-hmm. It's basically the opposite of what does work is
Yeah.
not, those times when like I want to maintain like the perfect streak or whatever, that's when things fall apart for me.
Yeah. That's
Um,
a love-hate relationship with streaks. And a lot of apps like promote them and it's like, oh, that's killer for people.
yeah. I think just reminding myself that, well, this is something that does work.
That's okay.
I'm a little bit more of an optimist.
I like it. No,
Um,
I think that that's also very important when it comes to goals.
like reminding myself that you don't have to build momentum by doing something every day,
Mm,
right? Like I can build momentum by doing something 3 times a week
yeah, that's a great
or
one.
being consistent from week to week.
Yeah,
And that like the perfectionism and the all or nothing, that really has been a big breakthrough for me.
yeah, that's huge. Is there anything else you do that helps you keep those whys like front of mind?
Some of it has to do in the way that I word my goals, right?
Okay.
Like trying to include that in the why.
Yep.
Like with the wedding goal, it was preparing us for marriage. And it
Yep.
was like, like the wedding is just a day, but like the marriage is what I'm preparing for.
Mhm.
Or I think I don't have my goals here. I don't know why.
Okay.
They're in the other room.
That's all right.
Um, but like I think one of my goals for this quarter is like trying to make our apartment into a home
Mhm.
and like reminding myself that's a little bit of a tricky one too, because we don't plan to stay here for that long. So it's like trying to make it a home, but also like not investing too much money because we're not going to stay here. But just reminding myself that it's like, well, I want to make this feel like home.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm gonna, do these things or go shopping for Christmas decorations or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's true. I was talking with somebody on a different chat about knowing that why can help with the action steps. Like knowing everybody could have the same goal, but your action steps could look different because your why is different than somebody else's.
Hmm.
So it's helpful to remember. All right. The only other question I have is as a member of the community, is there any aspect of the community that you feel like really helps support you on your goals?
I do get a lot of out of the calls. That's kind of the one thing that I do consistently. And I actually did find that when I don't schedule time for the calls, I kind of sometimes forget about my goals because, having that weekly reminder, weekly check-in of like, okay, it's time to pull out my goals and look at what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I forgot that I scheduled that for this month. I forgot that I said I was going to do this.
Yeah.
And so that has been really impactful.
Cool.
The texting is good. I'm not sure. We'll see when we get there, if like being a better community member is like on my goal sheet of like just, participating more and posting in the Facebook group
Yeah.
and responding to the texts.
It's okay. There's the that's why there's options. Is there's different things that different people connect with and that they benefit from. And I have found a lot of people that signed up for this particular situation. It's a lot of people like the calls, they like the community aspect of things. Whereas like there are some community members who just really do like that one-on-one and they like the texting and they like just being, it's more about connecting to me and as opposed to the community at large. But that's why there's choices, is there's things that work different for different people.
Yeah.
So
And I think there are parts where I could get more out of the community if I, posted in the Facebook group more or whatever. Or even just, I think some of them were just to like follow up, like after the call to go post in the Facebook group
yeah,
what my goals are, do those kinds of things for the accountability portion. But yeah, definitely the calls are kind of what keep me on track.
awesome. All right, that's all I have in terms of questions. Are there any other goal tips or things that you want to share?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I very much appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. All right. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to chat with you. I feel like your situation is so much more unique than anyone I've had the chance to chat with yet. So let's start with just a quick intro, what your current life stage is, what you do for work, etc. Anything that you think would be helpful as we start to talk about your goals.
Sure. All right. Hello. I'm Aya, and I am Egyptian, and I currently live in Cairo, Egypt. I am married, and I live with my husband and my cat, but no kids. and I am a product manager for a tech company. So I work in the tech space. I actually work with a company that's based out of the US. So for like one day every 2 weeks, I have to work in the late time zone. But other than that, I work with local team members.
Okay. So is your schedule consistent then? Are you scheduling things when you want to schedule them? Excuse me. How does that kind of work?
So I do have a degree of flexibility where, like, if something comes up, I can move things around, and I don't have like a shift. I don't need to clock in and clock
Okay.
out. So as long as I'm getting my work done, no one really cares when I work. I do have some stakeholders, like I said, that are based in the US, so that's where like I need to meet with them. But day to day, most of my team members live locally, so we just meet in the mornings.
Do you find that it's tough that it's kind of that inconsistent of like sometimes you're working Egypt hours and that's your schedule, and then sometimes you're working US hours?
Yeah, in the very beginning, it was very, very hectic, and it felt like I could never plan anything just because I like routine, I like to know
Yeah.
things, I like to have things on a schedule. But as time sort of went on, I basically treated it as a schedule. Like every second Wednesday, I have late meetings, and then it used to be Mondays, for example, but I had a course that I really wanted to take. So like I talked with my coworkers and I pushed it to Wednesday. So basically like making sure that it works for me and also like I'm there when I'm needed for meetings. And also like it's the internet. So if something comes up at work, I can just use my phone to basically jump in and solve that. I used to think like I need to be in front of my laptop to solve everything, but I really don't. Like if I'm on the go, I should just solve it on the go.
I can totally relate to that. That's why I'm laughing, because I feel like I also have always had the mindset that it's like if I'm going to be working, I need to be at my computer, like at a table, like where it's convenient. And like I feel like that's a millennial problem where like we need big screens for big tasks, and like really it can all be done on our phones.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's start talking about goals. I would love for you to share. It can be something recent or something older, but one goal that you have achieved that you are super proud of.
I think for the first time in my life, I've been like my definition of consistent with working out.
Okay.
So I did lose weight, like as an aside, but I don't think of losing the weight as the goal. I'm thinking of like everything I've done to lose the weight. And I'm strict with going to the gym 3 times a week. I do to go to classes. I move a lot more. Like my average steps were 2,000 steps a day, and now I'm averaging somewhere between the like nine, which is huge.
That's a huge
And
jump. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, exactly. And I did that slow. I basically like earned every checkpoint and every check mark, but without having it as a goal, I don't think I would have come where I am right now. So yeah.
For sure. So I want to start. I love what you said about what consistency means to you, because consistency as a word definitely I think gets a bad rep of like it has to be every single day, and like it absolutely doesn't. Did you have to break through that mindset, or was that something that you had to think about?
Yeah, so to me, like I'm fine with it not being every day, but to me, to be consistent is I have to do it at the same time, in the same format, in the same space. And like I've been consistent at it for nearly like I want to say 9 months now.
Okay.
And like, things change. And so what I do is I want to go to the gym 3 times. I have two goals. I have the minimum. I can't go less than twice. And then my goal is 3 times a week.
I love that.
And I can go whenever I want. So sometimes I'm there like in the middle of the work day in my lunch hour. I've also got like it was like Saturday, the end of the week, and I know that I need to get that check-in mark, is it that second check mark? So I went at like 11 p.m. But it's fine. Like it made sense to me. It made sense like, oh, I was having a late night. It was a busy week anyways, and I still got there. So getting away from it has to be done in a certain way, in a certain space with for a certain duration. I just go. I like sometimes even I just go to, I used to think that going to the gym to not do a full workout is a waste of time, but it's movement. I've done it anyways. So yeah.
Yes. That's a huge mindset I think that a lot of people struggle with, is
Yeah.
you're like, well, if I'm going to the gym, it needs to be for at least this amount of time, or it needs to be for at least this intensity. And I need to be like dripping in sweat at the end of it. And it's like, it's not always going to look like that. You also talked a little bit about like starting smaller and like building your way up to that. Can you touch on that a little more?
All right. Yeah. So I started 2025 with this huge list of goals.
Okay.
I was gonna accomplish all of them in Q1,
Yeah.
and then Q1 was over, and I didn't think because it was just very overwhelming to like commit to all of that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to like the gym and I'm going to sign up to one class. And I know I can commit to that. And then once I started committing to that, I started adding a bunch more classes because I like classes motivate me and I knew they weren't like a big thing. And then the last thing I've actually added is my steps because I don't enjoy particularly getting my steps done. But like once I saw the consistency and everything else, I started like I got my weekly average and I started adding just a tiny bit on top of that and just taking it very, very slow from there. Q1 literally like it looks comical because Q1 I have nothing checked and then you see like slow gradual progress starting Q2 until today.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, going from 2,000 steps on average to 9,000 steps is like, I mean, that's a huge jump, but you didn't just like wake up and start walking 9,000 steps a day. Like that
Yeah.
is
I
not,
tried.
yeah.
There's like
Or you tried it and it didn't work. Right. Exactly.
yeah, there's one day in January that I did like 10,000 steps, but
And then that's it. And also focusing on an average is another aspect of like it being, making it more feasible is that it's an average. You're not going to necessarily hit a number every single day.
I think I was also like with the steps, for example, I was stuck at the 5,000. I could not for the life of me get over that range.
Oh,
And having the average of like, okay, fine, 5,000 steps is 35,000 a week. I'm just
yep.
going to aim for 40,000. And finding time to add those was a lot easier than adding the whole lot of it. And once I broke it, I kept with like, I'm going to add another 5K to every week. And then I'm now at where I am.
Yes, yes. The weekly step goal is such a thing that I feel like is such a good reminder because I think that
Yeah.
that is so helpful thinking about it over the course of your week instead of thinking about every single day because life's on some days and not others. Or your work schedule is different on different days. Well, you kind of already answered question two, but if there's anything else, or question three rather, if there's anything else that you feel like has worked for you, it could be related to this goal, it could be related to other goals, but tools or habits that you feel like work for you related to goals?
I think in general, not with this goal in specific, but being a lot more flexible with my time and with basically getting away from, oh, in the morning I have to be working while the only like I wanted to take for a while like a swimming class. And the only time for it was at 9 a.m. during work days.
Yep.
And I just kept putting it off because I could not leave work. And then I came to the realization I don't start my meetings at 9 and no one will tell me that you're not starting your work at exactly 9. If I start like at 10:30, it's fine.
Right.
And just because it's work time doesn't mean that I can't go do something else and then come back. And as long as I'm getting like, I don't think I'm at a point where people at work feel that I'm not there. I'm still there. It's just I'm making the time work for me and getting away from these very like, this is the weekend, this is what I have to do in the weekend, this is the work day, this is what I have to do in the work day. Just if it's time, all time is the same.
Yeah, it's true. And it's like you said, figuring out what works for you in relation to you can only take this class at 9. And so it's like, if that's what has to happen, then like, can I move? And you have the flexibility to move the other stuff, but there's a mental block there. And I would get that too. On the flip side, is there anything that you have figured out that doesn't work for you related to goals? It can be something you tried and didn't work or something you've seen other people do and you're like, that doesn't work for me.
I think the main thing I really, really struggle with is that are not tied to basically very long-term goals that I can't really picture right now. So
Okay.
I'm gonna pull up not planning to
Yeah.
to look at my goals for a minute, but basically I look at, for example, I'm planning decluttering the house.
Okay.
And I started off with like I came up with a Pinterest board of what I want my house to look like. And I came up with these like steps and I wrote the steps, I broke them down, but I had no idea what any of this looked like. And I felt like I made progress when I broke it down and then I never did any progress on it. And it was only when I started thinking, okay, you know what? I wanted to buy a new like wardrobe for my gym clothes. And I was gonna buy it, and then I was like, okay, I need to figure out what size it needs to be. So I need to organize my closet. And it was just that, it was organize my closet. And so I organized it. And but I shared this with you before, but I ended up not needing it because once I organized it, it was fine. I did not need it. But that's how my brain works. I can't like as long as the big goal is there, I can't really focus on it. I need the smaller goals to feel the bigger check marks more recently. And sometimes, like for example, I give myself quarterly reading goals. They add up. Like I can say that right now I've read like 35 books this year, but my brain would not like if I had told myself at the beginning of the year you're gonna read 35 books, I would freeze. It works a lot better with like you're gonna read 10 books every month,
Right.
every quarter, and then I just that's something that I know I can work towards and I can achieve instead of it being on a very long time plan.
That is so interesting. Yeah. I mean, in general, I don't think you're alone in that the bigger goals can cause you to freeze and feel like that it's unattainable, but it's like not even worrying about that and just focusing on the shorter time frame and like what's right in front of you and what you can accomplish.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, my only other question is as someone who's been around for years, a member of the community for years and on YouTube and all the places, is there anything that you found that helps you achieve your goals?
Uh, I think what I'm going to say is going to sound very cheesy, but at the core of how I set my goals and how I go to like get them done is always like a tiny Laken voice in the back of my head.
I love that so much. I love it.
Like to make sure it's achievable, make sure that it makes sense to me. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. Make sure that it's small. Also, like because of the time difference, I rarely do the live calls, but a lot of times like knowing that's there and that I need to advance that, like I'm gonna plan next month tomorrow, or I'm gonna plan this quarter here. So I find that really, really helpful with like mapping out, having that tiny little voice that reminding me like your goals are here, your goals are important.
I love that so much. The tiny Laken voice. That's the best. You're not the first one who said something similar like that, that they hear me when they, oh, they tell themselves all or nothing, or they tell themselves it's too small or too whatever. There's like the little voice that's like, it's not, it's okay. But I love that so much. Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it so much. And you sharing all of your insights. If there's any other tips or any other goal related things you want to share.
I'm not sure. I'm good for now.
Okay. Thank you. So good. Thank you again to Roxanne, Monica, Jaime, and Aya for their time. I love how these turned out. I hope that those of you who are really trying to balance working from home and working on your goals, and while it adds that benefit of not having to commute, there are still so many difficulties that come with working from home, and I hope that you found this video helpful. If you watched all the way to the end, if you made it through all of those chats, comment below with a house emoji. That just obviously makes the most sense. And make sure that you're subscribed because we have 3 more videos. And again, I should have said this in the intro. Even if you don't, maybe I need to say it at the beginning of the next one. Even if you don't feel like you exactly fall into one of these categories, I guarantee you they're all going to be beneficial to listen to. And you can totally listen to them podcast style, just like put your headphones in and have them on in the background. But I think that they are all going to be so helpful. So make sure you're subscribed. Give this video a thumbs up if you're excited about this series, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Let me fix my glasses. That sounded weird. Um, 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 um,